Oh, I was speaking very softly.
Oh, okay.
It's probably fine.
You're doing a Ben Carson impersonation or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the Lions of Liberty podcast. Here is your host, your guide, your shining beacon of liberty, Marc Clair.
All right, guys, welcome on back to Lions of Liberty. We are here with yet another one of our reaction shows, the fifth reaction show for the GOP debates, and I don't know. I really feel like we deserve some kind of medal, some kind of an award for this, because this was a brutal day to get through. We really, I personally watched about five hours or so of GOP debating today, and that's no easy task for anyone, even the politically addicted, I guess, as many of us are. But let me just talk about who this us is for a second. Let me bring in my esteemed panel, starting with my man John Odermatt over in Pittsburgh. What's going on?
Oh man, I'm delirious. I've been completely ISIS'd out. All I've heard about for the past 2.5, 3 hours, whatever the heck it's been, is ISIS is going to be at my doorstep. So
And
I don't know.
they have yet to show up this evening, I guess.
They're not here. They're not here.
They probably fell asleep. They were up watching the debate and just couldn't make it through.
Yeah.
All right, and are you have an adult beverage there tonight, this late at night?
Yeah, I got a little Sweetwater 420, a little Dad's Hat Pennsylvania Rye whiskey.
Not only are you drinking, but you're mixing, which I really can't blame you after sitting through tonight's debate.
Yeah.
So and myself, I'm just having a nice little cider with a dash of rum. A nice cozy drink. It is a very chilly California evening here. It was actually in the 50s today, guys. So tough times. Let's move along. We've also got Leesburg, Virginia, paging Leesburg, Virginia, Mr. Howie Snowdon, the godfather of Lions of Liberty.
Hey, Mark.
How are you
Wow.
doing? How you hanging in there?
I hate all the Republican candidates so much right now.
All right, even Rand.
Well, the refugee stuff he was saying
It's a little
irks
annoying.
me, but besides that, I mean, he's by far way better than all the rest. But wow, that was a long night watching that neocon love fest. Holy shit.
All right. And 3 minutes in, we've established that we are going to give the explicit label to this episode. I think it's going to need it. Quite frankly, I think it's going to need it for all of us. And finally, a last-minute injury replacement. We've got Brian did a really ingenious thing. He faked a back injury to get out of this, and that was a really smart move. So to replace him, we have our legal counsel, one Mr. Rico.
Always last, usually least as well. How do you have a back injury and you can't Skype? I don't get that, but...
Well, I think it's
That's
more.
Brian.
I don't think any body parts can really handle what happened tonight.
I feel numb right now.
I feel that I will be sore all over in the morning.
This is the worst day ever listening to these people for 5.5 hours, but...
So why don't we just start off briefly? I know Odie didn't see it, but the three remaining of us were all up there live blogging the supposed Kitty JV debate. So why don't we briefly touch on Eddie? I guess it really served as a preview of what we were going to see later, the All About ISIS fest here from the Republican debate, because that's pretty much what the JV debate was as well. And any impressions there, Rico, Howie, from this little extravaganza, this first foray into neocon love?
Thanks to Rick Santorum for teaching me everything I always needed to know about the Muslim religion. He was just a scholar beyond compare during the debate, lecturing just constantly. He was great.
Maybe he's a Muslim. Maybe Rick Santorum.
All the warmongering he wants to doesn't seem very Christian, so maybe, I don't know.
He did have that one good moment that was almost like, I mean, if you're gonna buy into propaganda, this is pretty good propaganda when he's like, ISIS has declared war on disabled children. It's like, and I have a disabled child. I'm like, oh, Jesus.
They did?
Oh yeah,
Shit.
I started to get pissed off. I
like,
want to go kill ISIS.
Yeah, maybe I should want to kill ISIS. That is pretty
Was that
bad.
one of their bullet points on who they're declaring war
I think
on?
so.
No, he was saying that they executed a bunch of disabled children recently. They declared like a fatwa against them. It's like those sons of bitches.
Because they're disabled. I mean, obviously, I don't support that. I mean, that's really bad, but that doesn't mean I necessarily agree with his solutions of no-fly zones over Syria and such.
I don't think us bombing more children is going to help that. So, but
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just when I was paying attention, but it seemed like there was always a split screen on Lindsey Graham, which I did appreciate.
Definitely.
Whether he was talking or not, because his facial expressions were great.
He's always on the verge of tears, Lindsey, and maybe they're tears of joy, tears of anger, tears of sadness. I think it alternates throughout. But he's I gotta say, I don't agree with a word that he says, but he's a fun guy to watch up there.
There was only there was maybe 5 minutes of the undercard debate that I saw, and during one point, Lindsey Graham said, "This might be a direct quote. ISIL is planning another 9/11 tonight. I promise you." Like right now, they're planning another 9/11, and he knows about it. So why isn't he stopping it?
Yeah, why isn't he speaking up with
Riddle
some more
me
specifics?
that, Lindsey Graham.
Because he can't read our email.
That's why he needs to look at our Facebook messages.
Apparently, ISIS has the most advanced encryption known to man because they flummox everyone in our government. There's no way they could possibly decode this ingenious encryption system they have.
They kept talking about that, the woman from the San Bernardino terrorist attack, saying she had all these social media posts, like saying she wanted to do all this like stuff. But they're actually private messages that she sent to other people. So it wasn't like posted on her Facebook wall. So if they're going to see that, that means they need to be able to log into everybody's social media accounts and go through all our inboxes, read all our message traffic. They tried to make it sound like, oh, we just need to look at their Facebook pages. But
yeah, and if that's the case, there's no law preventing any agency from looking at Facebook pages. So either way, it makes no sense at all.
The intel community wouldn't be able to do that if it was a U.S. citizen, but law enforcement...
Wait, no, but they can't look at a public Facebook page?
The FBI certainly could because they do law enforcement.
No, but I'm saying I can look at a public Facebook page. I don't need a law to tell me to do it or not. Like anybody can look at it. It's on Facebook. I mean, I guess maybe you're talking about private pages and private accounts, but I mean, then that's a different thing, I guess. But I mean, if you're just talking about a public Facebook post, I mean, nothing should be stopping any law enforcement
agency. You're not supposed to be spying on U.S. citizens, though.
That's not spying.
It's not spying. I'm looking, Howie. If I go look at your Facebook page right now, I'm not spying on you. I'm just.
If you're looking at my Facebook page for the government, it is.
Really?
The first thing
how it works
for the first thing for the Fourth Amendment is you have to have some expectation of privacy, and if you're posting something in public for everyone to see, you have no expectation of privacy, and so you can't have your Fourth Amendment violated.
I'm just talking about the way it works with U.S. persons. Law enforcement's allowed to, so the FBI can, the police can, Department of Homeland Security can, but intelligence organizations cannot unless they know for a fact they're dealing with a foreign terrorist or something like that.
So if you went rogue and just typed in someone's Facebook and looked at their wall, you would be in violation.
Went rogue. This guy's gone rogue. He's looking at Facebook accounts again.
Now, if they were looking at a terrorist who happens to be talking to you, that's different.
These are some great rules that you guys have set up.
The right number of hops.
Let's get back to the debates. This is ridiculous policies.
Is there any more classified information you can reveal to us, Howie?
This is nothing that I've said is classified.
Oh, okay.
This is the law.
I gotcha.
Unless it's on someone's Facebook page, then it would be classified.
If I post everything you just said on my Facebook page and you look at it, can you be indicted for spying on me?
Hey, I don't do intel work anymore. I do cyber stuff.
Oh, great. Okay. Well, then good. We're going to need you later when we talk about
Carly Fiorina.
We're going to need you when we get to the end of the main stage. So any takeaways, though, before we move on from that initial 2 hour, the first version, I guess, ISIS Fest Part 1?
Well, how long are those people going to be in? Are they going to be in for the long haul, do you think?
No. I heard they were talking before the debate. They're saying, well, is this going to be our last undercard debate? And they said, well, we don't know if Fox Business for the next one is having one, but everyone in the media was saying they thought if they do have one, then that'll probably be the last of it, definitely not after Iowa. So there may be one more kitty debate, but that should be it. Hopefully there won't even be that one.
Just because they're over it. And
well, you might want to be careful what you wish for because Rand probably won't be in the next big debate.
Well,
it doesn't really even matter though.
Yeah, it really doesn't. He's finished. But
would he even participate? It wasn't really clear. I don't think he's finished, to be honest. I mean, I don't think he's going to be the nominee. But
there were those rumors that if he didn't get in the main debate, he was going to drop out. I don't know.
That was debunked by his campaign. No, that was a complete fabrication. They were basically, the quote was them referring to whether or not they were going to participate in the kitty debate if they got bumped out of the main debate. And they said, we'll make an announcement on that tomorrow. Then they took that quote and spun that as we're going to make an announcement on whether we're going to be in the campaign tomorrow. But he's always maintained he's going to stay in through Iowa. I have no reason to believe that's not true.
I think he'll stay in. I just don't think he has a chance. I mean,
especially because he paid for a caucus. He paid for. I don't think he's a chance either. But
I don't see very many people dropping out because I have a feeling different people are going to win Iowa, different people will win New Hampshire, South Carolina. I think it's going to be.
Well, that is one scenario they laid out, and if it actually got to some scenario where 4 or 5 people went in there with delegates, it might make sense for Rand to stay in that whole time because he's probably going to, he's got that ground campaign at least that they tout in Iowa. I mean, he's probably going to have delegates there. He's probably going to have delegates in any caucus state, and I don't know. He's not going to have the momentum Ron Paul did, though, and that's the problem. So where's all this going?
If you noticed in one of his first questions tonight, he criticized Trump, he criticized Rubio, but I don't think he said anything negative about Cruz this whole time. I think they still have their pact intact and
their dark alliance.
Yeah.
The thing about Cruz, they say that Cruz doesn't attack Trump. Cruz really hasn't attacked anybody, I don't think. I can't remember him saying anything bad about any of the other candidates.
Rubio.
Has he?
But that was really just in the context of the setup question. I don't know if it was really him going out of his way.
I mean, not just tonight, but they've gone back and forth about immigration stuff before.
Well, Cruz, I mean, he's pretty much the odds-on favorite to win Iowa, right? I mean, it's always some
Iowa, yeah, for sure.
Evangelical or someone that's leaning that way that does well in Iowa.
Is he leading the polls in Iowa, though? Howie's the poll expert
I thought
here?
he was.
He's leading the polls in Iowa.
He's even ahead of Trump now in Iowa.
Yeah, but Trump's way ahead, like everywhere else. The more outrageous stuff he keeps doing, like they're like, oh, well, this is gonna do it, man, and like people just eat it up, and it just goes higher and higher.
Do you think it? So what could Cruz win Iowa, and then someone else, maybe not even Trump, win New Hampshire? But then Trump is so powerful that he maybe wins the next state, and then you really have an interesting scenario.
But isn't that the way it normally goes? Is someone wins Iowa, someone else wins New Hampshire, and then it kind of goes from there? Because I think who won in 2012? It was Santorum, right? Or he won Iowa,
or Ron Paul, if you go by the actual delegates.
Well, yeah.
Iowa and New Hampshire are not really representative of all the Republicans in this country. It's not
even close. Which makes
Iowa's not what like most people are like at all.
Yeah.
Thank God. Just kidding to all Iowans out there. You're wonderful people, I'm sure.
I know 2 people from Iowa. I like them both.
There you go.
Scientific survey. Good people.
All right. So, as we mentioned, this was basically 2+ hours of everybody, the moderators included, basically telling us that ISIS is going to destroy us, that immigrants are coming here disguised as helpless refugees and as orphans, and they're all plotting attacks. They're all plotting the next 9/11s, and we better start thinking about some things. Like at the low end of the weekend, you have the Rand Paul section. I guess Rubio is probably the quote unquote weakest on the immigration thing. Not weakest for me per se, but weakest in terms of projecting strength at the border or what have you. But and Rand Paul just suggesting we limit immigrants all the way up to outright banning of Muslims, as Donald Trump suggests. So that's pretty much the range, the 3x5 index card of immigration talk we're having in this debate. And frankly, I'm not impressed with any of it. Are you guys?
Not a bit. No. That's all.
No, I was especially irritated by it started in the undercard debate, I think, with Pataki like railing against encryption, and then picked up in the main debate by Kasich. These people they don't understand that if you weaken encryption, it's not just the government that's going to get in. Like foreign governments and criminals are going to get into everybody's shit. We're all going to be less safe. It doesn't do anyone any good, and it's maddening to me. I don't know.
Yeah, and they speak about it in such simple terms. Like Carly Fiorina and Trump also, to some extent, was talking about, well, we just need to get the smart people, the people from Silicon Valley involved to figure this out. I know them. I know these people.
Got to get Zuckerberg.
I'll ask them to help. And isn't Carly the one that passed 3 debates talking about we got to crony capitalism, and now she's openly saying we need crony capitalism to solve this? It's just pretty ironic.
Do you think they don't understand it at all, or do you think they do and they just think, well, this will sound good?
I think they don't understand it at all.
It's probably both.
You're probably right.
I mean, yeah, probably.
And both. Yeah, well, yeah, both, actually.
Considering the fact that Donald Trump's never sent an email before, it's probably, doesn't get it.
He doesn't want to close the internet, just the parts that go to, like, Iran.
Like, it's like...
I mean,
it's like a highway.
I mean, look, sometimes I think he's just like a caveman, and he's just like brutally saying things that there might actually be a point buried in somewhere, but he says them in such stupid ways. Like when he says, ban all Muslims, like maybe the rational tiny bit of truth in there is like examine people that come into the country. Like that's not crazy, but he says it as ban all Muslims. And like maybe when he says shut down parts of the internet to certain people, he just means like close the Twitter accounts of ISIS. Like I don't think anybody's like would be upset about that. I mean, so I don't know. I mean, I think he sounds. Yeah, go ahead.
He doesn't even mean like don't let Muslims in America anymore. He just means, okay, we're being attacked by some Muslims right now, so until we can figure out what's going on, let's pause that. And like it's a little more reasonable than some people. I mean, no, we shouldn't do that, but he's not saying no more Muslims in America.
He's saying it like like a guy would just say in the bar or something, like, you know, like in a very simplistic way that we know doesn't make sense, but it's projecting this, you know, we have a problem, we got to do something, we got to be strong about this vibe that he puts off, and that's why he's ahead in the polls, because he does it firmly.
He purposely says it though in a way that no one could go further than him, but then he'll walk it back to a reasonable.
Exactly. That's exactly right, because you can't say anything more extreme than Donald Trump, but then he'll sit there and still, because no matter what you say against him, he's the only one that says something definitive and says something that people can latch onto and say, all right, at least this is this guy who recognizes the problem, and he's not effing around. He's not like these other politicians. He's up there and he's not, you know, he's serious.
He's even got me. I mean, if you take Rand out of the equation, I disagree with all these people on everything. If I had to pick one person who I totally disagreed with, I'd take him over the rest of them.
I don't want my words to be misconstrued, but I probably would too. I mean, just in terms of, and if nothing else, he shakes things up, and you know, it's fun to watch.
Uh-oh. Whoa.
I don't know. It's hard to fathom. I mean, if you put a gun to my head and Rand's not an option, voting for any of these other guys, it's hard to even.
Oh yeah, I'm not talking about voting for him. I'm talking about in the sidelines, knowing I'm going to get Hillary or him or Hillary or whoever. You know.
Yeah.
I know Hillary's the worst. It's possible Donald Trump won't go to a bunch of wars. I mean, he seems opposed to a lot of stuff we've done, not because he's morally against it, but because of all the wasted money. And I can believe he doesn't like the idea of the United States government wasting money, since he does seem to view it as a business. So maybe, if nothing else, that would stop him from doing completely terrible things.
He seemed to be against like all the interventions we've done recently, but now he's like, we gotta get tough. I think he just thinks like, oh, I need to say tough things now. I actually feel like he's more of a non-interventionist, but he knows that's not what sells when everyone's in this emotional fever pitch right now where they need to like, we need to do something, we need to be tough, and we need to, so he's like, well,
we gotta take the oil and give it to the wounded warriors.
if you look at his history, he's a lifelong Democrat.
Terrible.
I mean,
yeah. I think he is a lifelong Democrat, but then I think he's planned this a while ago, and he started like priming the pump with the birther thing last election to try to get conservatives to get behind him, and then he's just been plotting it up until now. Which I'm still a little suspicious that he might be working for the Clintons.
Well, you know, Obama gets a lot, rightfully so, of criticism for doing all those executive actions or executive orders. Can't you see Trump even going way beyond what Obama does? He doesn't like something. Well, we need to do this. We need to do this. And the public, you would just frame it in a way the public would say, okay, and he'd get away with it. And that part scares me.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure not more so than the rest of them. I mean, than the rest of the non-Rands, I should say.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what Ben Carson would do? I mean,
he'd be napping 16 hours a day. I
mean, I don't know where to start with Ben Carson. Like, I mean, his polls have dropped quite a bit, I believe.
At some point,
he's growing on me.
He's growing on me as as Brian McWilliams once said, as a cute puppy dog you just want to give a bath and put a towel around, but not as a president.
The moment of silence at the beginning was just so over the top ridiculous.
That was awkward.
That irritated me.
Yeah, the first words out of his mouth are a moment of silence for the San Bernardino victims, and I don't know, it's a couple of weeks ago. He seems like a fine man, as Donald Trump said, the finest man. But
doesn't Donald Trump like?
That's another Trump trick, by the way. That's another Trump trick, is to like call everyone the nicest guy. Like, Jeb Bush is such a nice guy, great guy, awesome guy. Total pussy. That's basically what he said. I mean, not quite in those words.
How about how he had to like totally go back on what he was saying about Ted Cruz during it? He's like, no, I didn't mean any of
that. I've met him in the last day.
Yeah, we spent 3 days together, and no, he's solid. It's cool.
Yeah, he could be
Did
my
I
VP
call him a
now.
maniac?
That's where it seems like there's some weird secret alliance going on. Truly,
that
too.
Ted Cruz response with the maniac video, I thought was hilarious.
What was the response? I need.
When Trump had called him earlier in the week a maniac, and he posted on Twitter that song "Maniac."
Oh, that was his response.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
He posted Twitter, he's like, to all the good-hearted maniacs out there, and had like a link to that video.
That's awesome. Well, I didn't know that.
Damn it, that makes me like Ted Cruz. It was probably just some staff, some intern or something that thought it was cool. But I doubt Ted himself was sitting there on Twitter like, "Hey, someone find me the link to that maniac music."
Maybe that's his jam, and he's just jamming out to it. I'm a maniac, man.
That would.
Could be.
We're learning a lot about Ted Cruz.
What was
week.
that song that Shayna really liked? Something ridiculous, like I don't know if it's like
everything Bon Jovi.
It's like It's Raining Men or something. No, something like absurd. Maybe that's why his congressional race didn't go. So I don't know.
It's a little Lions of Liberty inside baseball going on here right now, guys.
Husband, father, leader.
Well, if anybody had followed Pennsylvania politics,
maybe we should do a half hour of inside jokes to wrap the show up. What do you guys think?
I'm in.
All right, so what else do we take away from this debate here? I mean, I know we're kind of all over the place, but that's how these guys kind of are in their foreign policy thoughts. It seems like.
Was I drunk, or did Rand get a lot more time than he should have based upon numbers?
Yeah, I mean, then based upon numbers,
or both. Am I drunk and that happened?
Let's be honest. He shouldn't have gotten into debate. I'm glad he did, but.
Well, he got a lot of speaking time, and he was going back and forth for quite a bit about the immigration, the refugee issue. He seemed to be getting a lot more time than Carly, Carson, Kasich, or Christie, which I was happy about. He just doesn't seem to me to have any charisma. Like I agree with most of his points, but people who don't already like him, I just don't see him swaying anyone.
It didn't seem like he was natural when he was talking. Like it's all practiced, rehearsed, like stuff. But I thought he had really good points, and he did well, except for when he talked about that ridiculous refugee stuff he's got going on.
What really annoyed me is when he had a perfect opportunity to go after Rubio about NSA spying, and they totally set up for it, and then instead he takes a right and he goes into the immigration refugee thing again, and it's like, I mean, and that was after I think he'd already talked about it once, and then he goes after Rubio for that Gang of Eight bill, and which is just like, I mean, I don't think that's a hot button issue right now, and that was about all immigrants, not just about terrorists or not just about people from possible terrorist countries, as Rand's bill was about. So it seemed like just not the right way to go with it, especially when we're just everyone's harping on immigration, and now it seems like Rand is too. I mean, he had this whole ad out going after Rubio and Cruz for being late on immigration, where he wants to clamp down on immigration from 34 different countries in just a blanket way. And I mean, he was good in many ways in many other areas, but
I don't get that. It just doesn't seem like a natural extension of any kind of philosophy he adheres to. The whole immigration ban thing. It just seems like it's a olive branch to neocons. It doesn't fit his general agenda, and I can't stand it. But I don't see how he defends it every time.
I think you're right, and I don't think it helps him at all.
No, it just confuses his message.
It turns like us off to him, and the neocons are never going to accept him.
He's the least memorable. Probably tonight, nobody will remember what he said because he doesn't have any, 3-word phrases, catchphrases. I mean, he didn't learn anything from his dad. Ron Paul had end the Fed, bring the troops home, and you can argue with, whether, to that extent, if it's right or wrong and what level you should actually do those two things.
But it was definitive, and it was very Trumpian, you might even say, as you mentioned to us earlier today in an email.
That people could get behind.
That there are some shared qualities of Donald Trump and Ron Paul that people might not really realize.
Indeed,
that was
They put things very simplistically. They have the same phrases they use over and over, and they say things in not a strong way in Ron Paul's case in terms of attitude, but in a confident way that this is what I believe and I'm not backing down. And that's, I think, why people latch on to Ron Paul, and that's why people are latching on to Donald Trump. Content aside.
Boom.
Was that an Odie original thought? Because that was a very thought-provoking email I got today.
Are you claiming he might have plagiarized it from a wiser man?
I thought of that myself, and I think I might expand on it and write a 35-page white paper on it. And
well, at least write a 6-paragraph blog post. I think that's a nice compromise if you don't do the white paper.
I think they gave Paul more time just because he's the only one saying anything different. it's just boring to have everyone keep saying the same stuff over and over again. I think that's why that might be part of why they wanted him in there. It's like, let's have a kind of different point of view a little bit.
Well, our resident Rand Paul expert, Brian McWilliams, had a theory a couple weeks ago on Rand Paul pluses and minuses that because of the CNN, I guess, email gate, where one of the CNN reporters was basically caught colluding with the Clinton campaign to besmirch the name of Rand Paul during the Benghazi hearings, that his theory was they would be a little bit nicer to him, and maybe that's why he got into the debate. I don't know. Maybe that's why he got seemingly more time than in the past.
I'm looking at the Drudge poll, who won. And right now, it's the top three are Trump, Cruz, Paul, which I kind of agree with too. It's Trump 47%, Cruz 24%, Paul 12%.
This is his online poll, right? Not
the Drudge report
right,
poll.
Because the national polls never put Paul anywhere.
No, but that's what I would have thought. I mean, I didn't agree with what Trump and Cruz were saying, but they performed well, I thought.
Kind of surprising that Drudge has Carson down at under 1.5%.
Yeah, I thought he did better than that.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think Carson has done better than anyone ever. I mean,
He is so uninspiring, and
That's
true. He doesn't really know, it seems to be, a whole lot about politics.
When you wouldn't get in the middle of that question.
Oh my God, that was
he
the
just,
worst.
He just didn't know what to say.
Wow, that was unbelievable.
That was
I'll
the
leave it between
answer
them.
I've ever heard in my
For
life.
those that didn't see the debate, there was I believe it was when Rubio and Rand Paul were kind of going back and forth about was it the NSA spying thing at that point?
I don't remember.
Or was it
I just
immigration?
asked-
Either way, it was
about immigration. Yeah.
It was about immigration, right? Is when they were having their immigration spat, and the commentator said, "Hey, Ben, do you want to get in on this? And whose side do you fall on?" He said, "Oh, I don't want to get in the middle of a fight." He had. I bet he doesn't even know what they were talking about. I mean, I'm not even joking.
He was asleep.
That's right, because it immediately reminded me of this weird memory from college where this kid, for some reason, we were walking to class, I bumped into him. He's like, "What did you think about that book we had to read?" I was like, it doesn't matter. I couldn't think of it because I didn't read a page of it. And I was like, why is this kid asking me about this?
It doesn't
and that
matter.
was exactly Ben Carson. He's like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about. I don't want to get involved.
And he could not admit that he just zoned out.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
that's probably will doom your presidential campaign. I'm sorry, I got to be honest. I totally zoned out right there. You know what? I would have appreciated his honesty if he had said that. I would have identified with him because I zoned out a bunch during this debate. It was a challenge to keep myself even half attentive.
I thought the highlight was Paul's Bridgegate call out on Christie.
That was fun.
Answer.
That was good.
Why don't you recap that one for because I know a lot of people listen to the show that do so in lieu of actually watching the debate. So just for those that missed it.
Does anybody remember exactly what was said?
I missed it.
Oh, I put you on the spot there. Well, what's Bridgegate, Odie? You know about that, right?
So, I forget. So, what were they talking about? They were talking about
judgment, and they're like, "Oh, it might be you don't want to elect somebody who close up a bridge to stop his friend from getting somewhere."
Christie had just said that. Oh, I would shoot down Russian planes. Of course, I would shoot down a Russian plane. And then somehow Rand got pulled in, or they asked him about it, and he said, "Yeah, well, a guy like that, might be the same type of guy who's like, oh, maybe I don't like the guys who are, the Democrats who go against. I'm gonna shut the bridge down." I think he even put in a little Jersey accent there.
I need to go on YouTube immediately after this.
We'll link to the full story about Bridgegate, but I do remember there was a whole campaign about that. There were even billboards, I think, up in Pennsylvania, weren't there, about that? Yeah,
Dom Sidoti is our Bridgegate expert, and we haven't heard from him in like a year or 2 years. So.
we'll first confirm he's alive, and then we'll try to get him on sometime.
Dom, if you hear this, contact us and let us know the scoop.
Tweet us at Lions of Liberty that tell us you're okay, and about Bridgegate. Anyway, it was a good jab.
So the Chris Christie thing that really blew my mind is how eager he was to go to war with Russia, because they may fly a plane over Syria.
He was not the only one.
Well,
Carly Fiorina, everybody.
I believe literally all of them are for a no-fly zone.
If you step back and think about it, though, isn't it?
Except for Trump.
Trump, yeah.
Like, okay, the U.S. tells a second country they can't fly over the airspace of a third country, and we're going to go to war over that?
Here, let's let's put even more logic into this. They're saying we need a no-fly zone so we can have safe zones for the refugees. Okay, who's bombing the refugees? from planes? They have like little like refugee camps, and ISIS doesn't have planes. Like, who the hell is bombing them?
Yeah, none of it makes sense.
So this is obviously ulterior motives. They don't want Russia getting involved here. This is our little thing we got going on for what
it seems that Russia would be on the same side as us because they're also pissed off at ISIS.
Yeah, but the reality of the situation is that this has the action in Syria has zero to do with ISIS in reality. You guys got to listen to Jen Briney's podcast, Congressional Dish. She does a whole episode on Syria and plays back the clips from all the recent hearings when they're talking about it, and every single general and every single politician ends up having to say, well, no, our policy is to oust Assad. Yeah, our policy is to oust Assad. She plays like 10 clips, and all different people saying it. They say it over and over. It has nothing to do with ISIS. We're in Syria. They want to be in Syria because they want to oust Assad. They don't say why, but I imagine there are many geopolitical reasons, perhaps including the control of natural resources that might play a factor.
Yeah, I don't understand why I hate him so much. We used to work with him.
Isn't that how this always works with U.S. schizophrenic?
They used to work
policy?
with Saddam. They used to work with
true.
Gaddafi.
And then they're suddenly the
with
worst
the
people.
Taliban.
Yeah, I mean, why would anyone go into business with the U.S. government?
You're going to become a terrible person in 20 years.
And you wonder why I'm
if you work with
suspicious
us.
these rebels we're working with.
Like, they're crazy. They're just going to get a bomb on their house in 20 years once they sign up with the government. But whatever.
What about the wall? You had Donald Trump bringing up the wall again, and he went on saying, yeah, the wall will stop terrorism. The wall will stop the drug trade as well. What about that? That seems, does he not know about how every week they find a tunnel that goes under San Diego? It goes like from Tijuana to San Diego and all across that border. I mean, is this wall supposed to go deep into the earth as well?
Just look at El Chapo's Prison Break. They're great at building tunnels.
Yeah. I think El Chapo is listening to this debate, and he's taking up that challenge. He's like, I will get through your wall, dumbass.
Does he still have like the hit out on Trump?
Well, yeah, I also heard El Chapo has a hit out on ISIS. El Chapo said that
turned out to be not true. That
the
was
friend of your... Oh, that was bullshit? Okay.
Well, did you hear the
friend of your
mob
friend.
threaten ISIS? That was great.
Who? A cop?
The mob.
Oh, the mob. Oh, yeah. The Chris Christie's boys.
The Gambino crime family said, yeah, ISIS, don't come around here.
I kind of zoned out for a second. I heard they started talking about the triad. I thought they were talking about like the Chinese mafia. I'm like, what? What does the triad have to do with any
We're
of this?
enlisting everyone.
I thought it was funny for that. I mean,
the
the
Yakuza
triad,
are coming over to help fight.
I had no idea what they were talking about with the triad. I didn't know what that was until Rubio explained it as being like what like part of it is what the like air missiles and something else.
So we had to update the submarine, but why? Why do we need to update the submarine?
Because it's 34 years old or whatever random...
it doesn't seem like when the submarine was made, I know nothing about the military, but it seems to me that was a Cold War thing. But ISIS isn't developing anti-submarine technology.
Yeah, it's funny how they spend 2 hours...
We're not going to launch nukes at ISIS from subs.
Yeah, I mean, they spend 2 hours talking about ISIS, and then all these guys are talking about how we need to, update our planes and our submarines. But and that's not how you're going to beat ISIS. That's how you're going to beat Russia or China. And and from the sounds of it, they want war with at least with Russia. So maybe
Unless
that's
Ted
the
Cruz
real reason.
was serious about turning the desert into glass.
God, did he say that in this debate?
Huh?
Did he say that in this debate?
He wanted to see if the sand
he said it
could
before
shine.
the debate, and they asked him during the debate. They're like, "Did you really mean that?" And he's like, "Yeah, sure."
Yeah, he said he wanted to see if sand could shine. Right? Wasn't that his line?
Yeah.
Yeah, want to see if the sand if sand glows.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's
that was right.
That's a pretty psycho statement.
AKA, I'm gonna nuke Syria, and that's how we'll stop ISIS.
That's
almost as psycho as Donald Trump, or probably equally as psycho as Donald Trump saying he's going to or wants to kill family members, innocent family members.
That is a bit troubling.
Is it just me, though? I don't feel like either of them mean any of that.
No, I'm with you.
Is that my wishful thinking?
And when he just explains it a little more, he says, you got to go after them when he's talking about people that know about it. This lady knew about it. This one know about it. And I mean, really, if you're just talking about harboring terrorists, that's a legitimate crime to prosecute people for. So, it feels like one of those things where he kind of means that, going after family members who harbor people that are planning something. And then it comes out I'm going to kill their family members, which maybe he means too. I mean, I don't really know what to believe from any of these guys.
And I think Rand did. I mean, Rand tried to confront him on that and saying, you're violating the First Amendment and what the
I think that was another
Amendment,
mistake going after Trump again like that. I mean, Rand should learn by now.
Probably. Yeah, you should have asked him. You should have tried to get him to specify more. Well, aren't you really just trying to, just uphold the rule of law? Don't we already have a law for that? Somebody harboring terrorists? But I don't know. But yeah, going after Trump, that's going to backfire on Rand. It's backfired on him every single time.
It's more interesting looking at not the politicians, but the electorate with all this. What's selling right now? What's rocketing Trump to the top? Maybe they shouldn't be using common sense arguments. Maybe.
Well, there's a lot of speculation on whether Trump's numbers are because of just name recognition or actual favorability. So I think the first couple primaries will really tell the story, because he complained about, and one of the questions, every question you lead with Trump this, Trump that, but secretly he has to be loving that, because the more his name is mentioned, the better his numbers are. And that's what really is probably building his numbers, is every time the media says Trump, a person recognizes Trump, and it just feeds into, his numbers going higher and higher.
That's exactly what it is. There's almost no bad PR when it comes to politics like this, and these polls are just reflective of, like you said, who's heard of this person the most. That's that's the trigger answer, the trigger response that people give to these polls, and they are kind of meaningless when it comes to policy. But
he's getting huge crowds, though.
Yeah, he's popular. I don't think it's a mirage or anything. I just think
those aren't just people that know. Oh, I know that name. Those.
Dude, I personally know a lot of people that support Donald Trump. A shocking number.
Too.
Can you get some of these people on to interview? Because I need to know more about them. Okay. I haven't met a Donald Trump supporter yet, and I need to listen to what here's.
It might just be a location thing. I don't know any Donald Trump supporters out here, but I do know plenty of Bernie Sanders supporters. And Odie, are there any Bernie supporters out there in Pittsburgh, or is it more the Trump crowd?
I haven't encountered any Bernie supporters.
See, really? That's exactly it. I think depending on where you're from, you have both, Howie?
Yeah. I don't think I know any Fiorina supporters.
No, I definitely don't.
I don't think she knows any Fiorina supporters.
Is there any strong Kasich supporters around you in Ohio?
Kasich supporters. I don't know any. I don't know any Rubio supporters.
Well, it's funny because that was Kasich's main point when they gave the closing statement. He basically just said, "Hey, you got to win Ohio to be president." And
I was actually interested to hear what he had to say once he said that, and then I just zoned out because there was.
I don't think that's really true, though.
20 different factors. Well, it's just it's more of a coincidence than a. Because Ohio is a swing state but has a decent amount of electoral votes. So
yeah,
it's kind of like I don't know what the expression is, but yeah, you do need to win Ohio because it's like winning Florida or Texas. It has a lot of electoral votes. So if you're going to win Ohio, you're going to be in good position. But Kasich isn't winning Ohio, so.
In order to win Ohio, though, you got to win a bunch of states before that, right?
Is he a popular governor?
Yeah. Not really. He's popular enough to win re-election if he goes for it, but he's not he has the vote locked up or anything.
We don't have that re-election in Virginia. You just get one term.
That's good.
Yeah. And then you go to jail.
I don't think there's been a popular governor in Pennsylvania in my lifetime. Every governor's hated. At least it seems that way.
Was Tom Ridge hated?
Actually, you know what? Maybe I missed one. He
was he the guy that came out for or against the Eagles? Wasn't there one?
No, that was Ed Rendell. And the city of Philadelphia loved Ed Rendell. But we're getting way off topic here.
Well, what is...
There's no such thing as off topic.
Tom Ridge became the head of the Department of Homeland Security when it first started, I think, after he was governor of Pennsylvania.
I remember that, yeah.
Okay, so here's an interesting question because, all right, the next Republican debate is not for a month, thank God, and on January 14th. So here's a few questions. Let's just start with one guy, the one guy who we all agree is at least probably the least bad and on most things is much better than these guys, and that's Rand Paul. In a month from now, before Iowa, though, and he's claimed he's going to stay in the race until Iowa, and who knows what can happen the next month. Will Rand Paul be in the debate? Let's start with whoever. Odie.
To be in the debate, you got to have what? CNN it was 4%.
Well, we can't say
Iowa.
because they changed them for every debate.
Yeah. They've been making them stricter.
Yeah, they're trying to tighten them up as the race goes along, so they don't have a ton of candidates. I guess towards the end. So I do imagine that they'll kind of trim the fat a little bit next time.
If you look at like the type of person that would vote for Rand Paul, they're probably either aligned that they're not voting, they don't have a candidate, or they're with Cruz or Trump. And his attacking of Trump is not going to get him any of Trump's people. And Cruz is growing; he's getting more support. So I don't think there's much more room for Rand to grow right now. So I'm going to say either he barely squeaks in again, or he's out. So not looking good for Randy Pants, as we say.
You got to compare him to the other kind of fringe people like Christie or Kasich, or I guess Carson's up there, but I don't know. There was another one I can't. But is he going to be above them? Can he beat one or two of those other kind of fringe people to kind of bump up his numbers a little bit? I think he can, but his message today just was not really inspiring. So I don't know how he builds on any kind of numbers he has right now.
I thought he said some good stuff, but in the long run, I think he's going to be Cruz's VP.
You really think that?
Yep.
That would shock me. I don't think Cruz would make him his VP. But
is that a good career move for him to be VP? as opposed to, like, where would you rather be right now? Would you rather be Joe Biden or Mitch McConnell?
I would rather be Joe Biden for sure.
I don't think anybody wants to be Mitch McConnell.
I'd much rather be Joe Biden in life in general. I mean, not politically, but
in terms of Washington D.C. power structure, don't you think McConnell has more power than Joe Biden?
Joe Biden's the president of the Senate.
But in the day-to-day operation, in reality, probably.
If there's a tiebreaker.
Well, I know that.
Has that ever happened, like, that we can even remember?
But he doesn't have constituents calling his office and harassing him. Have to worry about voting.
He doesn't do anything. Like, Obama's like, go to Serbia and talk to their vice president.
You do as much as the president.
Go have a drink with this guy. All right.
Bring me back a souvenir. Bring me back a magnet. Like, what does he do?
Do you think that's Joe Biden's primary role? Is he's like, make sure you get the magnet, Joe. It's your only job. It's the only thing I care about. I need a magnet from every city.
Like that.
If Cruz really is the nominee, it's definitely not going to be Rand. I don't think as his VP. It's going to be someone we probably haven't even heard of or aren't thinking of, that kind of is a little liberal to or a little bit less right-wing than Cruz.
So is Johnny Rocket prophetic? Because on our Thanksgiving special, he said he thought Cruz was going to be the nominee, and we all laughed at him, and it's starting to look like that is at least a possibility.
It's still Rubio.
I said that last time, too.
You think Rubio or Cruz?
Done. I think Rubio's on the way down.
Another prediction, something else I could see happening is a Trump-Palin ticket.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God. That actually wouldn't shock me. Cause
that would be perfect for Trump. It would explode.
Oh, man, that would be amazing. They would eat that up.
I might have to support them. I don't know. It'd just be so ridiculous. I couldn't know.
The media would eat that up, and liberals and progressives would lose their minds.
She was there tonight. Did you see her?
I didn't, because I don't.
Didn't she say something like whether it's Trump or Cruz? Like,
yeah, and she said, "What a wonderful problem that is to have."
She's planting seeds. She wants in.
Oh yeah.
What a wonderful problem. She's the only one who thinks that way.
She knows how to deal with Russia.
Talking about Rand again, I really think he whiffed on his closing statement. I mean,
my God, I thought it was the worst closing statement.
I'm not saying the debt isn't a major problem. I mean, $1 million a minute, that's a good statistic to put out there to highlight that issue, because that's insane. But it's nobody, first of all, nobody gives a shit.
His opening statement was great, though.
Recap the opening statement for everyone.
That was the one where he talked about like how Trump wanted to shut down the internet.
It was a good statement.
Like Rubio wanted to, I don't know.
Yeah, he went after
Rubio
and Trump.
All this, like, authoritarian positions of the other candidates, and it was great.
Yeah, he basically came out in favor of the First Amendment and against police state in a pretty, I don't know if it was succinct. He kind of went on over his time a little bit.
Yeah, there was no refugee nonsense, and, it was good. And then kind of went downhill a little bit. I don't know. I thought he had good moments.
What was he trying to accomplish with that closing statement? It blew my mind. Like
that
who
he's a
is
true
he
conservative. That's the thing he likes to say over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Well, who
but
is
I
he
hate
inspiring?
It seems
with-
no one gives a crap about true conservative anymore because Donald Trump's leading in the polls, and I think these people have to start asking themselves why that is happening, and it's not because Donald Trump has ever said he was a true conservative.
Here's something I was reading today on Libertarian Girl's Facebook page. She had like this. They were talking about the EPA, and the EPA released some new regulation, and there was Trump's response and Rand's response. And Libertarian Girl was saying how great Rand's response was and how bad Trump's was. Trump's was, yeah, the EPA made this regulation. Now I can't wash my hair because I don't have enough pressure for the shower. And Rand's with this huge, long thing, like 5 paragraphs.
Seinfeld episode.
It's like, I mean, yeah, Trump nailed it. And Rand, I mean, Libertarian Girl's arguing about how, Trump's, just talking in these, just quick.
That's what people eat up.
Words. Yeah, that's what people want. I mean.
Yeah, he's
Sound
running
bites.
a politically brilliant campaign.
It's frighteningly genius, actually. And if you want to argue that against that, anyone, guess what? Well, let's see what happens. Because I mean, if this guy becomes the nominee, then you can't really argue with it, and it's really looking like that's a very, very, very strong possibility.
What could the RNC do to sabotage him at this point? Like without
Nothing.
I mean, that's never nothing.
Well, I mean, he could, if they
scandal.
tried to sabotage him, he could totally sabotage them in return.
Because he has that independent bid that he can hang over their heads. That's why they asked that question tonight. They
Yep.
love asking that. And he basically said, no, I love being a Republican now. This is fantastic. But, that doesn't mean anything.
No. They know if they do something, he will do that, and Hillary Clinton will.
Well, yeah, but if they do it at the convention, then it's kind of too late for him to really launch a independent
That's what I was
campaign.
thinking. But could they sway? Because delegates don't have to theoretically vote.
No,
for-
they don't.
Not after some are bound, but after if it did get to through 2 or 3 rounds of voting, at some point delegates become completely free if they really have a true brokered convention.
So they could do a lot of, behind the scenes persuasion or whatever the case may be to.
They
kind
could.
of-
Although the ironic thing is they changed a lot of rules in 2012, and the idea behind the rules was to prevent future instances of grassroots, I guess, coalitions
Ron Paul.
like they had with Ron Paul,
Yeah.
and make it easier, essentially, for the front runner to smooth their way through the convention. The irony of the wonderful irony of all this is they never thought a front runner would be the one that they didn't want to get in. So now
But-
they're faced with an interesting little scenario.
But didn't they change a lot of rules at the convention so they
yeah,
could
for
change a
next
lot?
and that applies to next year's. Is what I'm
But
saying.
couldn't they change those rules again? Like, what's to prevent them from just
Oh
changing?
yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Anything can be changed on by
Yeah.
votes on the floor. Yeah, they can
So-
do anything.
If
And
there
the
is a
fact
brokered
that he has-
convention, sorry, Howie, go ahead.
The fact that he has billions of dollars, he could mount an independent campaign pretty late and still get all the signatures and get all the crap done that he needs.
It would be
And
really.
he doesn't even need to get on every ballot. He just needs to get on enough to make sure the GOP loses.
Well, that's a good point. I guess he doesn't. I mean, I guess he only needs to get on enough ballots to win the presidency if that's his goal, or on enough to disrupt the whole process if that's his goal.
Yeah.
Well, you got to say this. If nothing else, Trump has made this one of the most interesting, what would have been an otherwise extremely boring GOP race. He's made it interesting, much like Ron Paul did. I wish Rand Paul was the one making it interesting. I think he's doing an okay job recently, but I mean, he's just not an inspiring guy. And we talked about it with Chris Spangle and Greg Lenz of We Are Libertarians. I mean, we want to like him. Everybody wants to like him. We agree with him more than anybody else by far, but he just doesn't inspire voters. And look, listen to the way we talk about him. I mean, we want to like him, but we're not inspired by him. I mean, we spent the last 20 minutes talking about Donald Trump. And we're the guys that
I
should
love
be
what they
fired up.
said, what Chris and Greg said about Rand having the libertarian disease. How it always comes off like he's lecturing, like, "Oh, I'm going to cite these different passages of the Constitution, and I'm so smart, and this is why this way." And then Donald Trump says, because we just need to keep the Muslims out." And
Fantastic. It's a phenomenal job. Yeah.
Rand Paul is like the only guy Trump didn't compliment tonight, by the way. Did you notice that? Everyone else, he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this guy is the greatest. Ben Carson, finest man you'll ever meet." He's like, "Ted Cruz, wonderful man. Jeb Bush, so nice, so nice. Carly, wonderful woman. Just never
then
says a
he
word
almost
about
got
Rand."
in a slap fight with Jeb later.
Oh, that was fun to watch, I guess.
Is Trump like the new Machiavelli?
Yeah, I mean, if he becomes president, he is.
Yeah, it'll be like anybody who's trying to like come to power, you just follow the Trump process, dude.
Who is his campaign manager? Because he must
I think
be
he
the smartest.
is. I think he is.
He's his own campaign manager.
No,
I think
there's
it's-
somebody
I think
else.
it's
My
Tony-
mom was.
I think it's Tony Robbins.
He has
I
a
think Tony
technical
Robbins
team, but I
is
just
running
think
this whole show.
everything I've heard is, I mean, he's not really controlled by advisors like other campaigns are. He has a campaign manager, but he's the guy really calling shots. You know,
Is this just like a product of basically his TV show, just doing market research about how people respond, and all of a sudden he's like, I know what people respond to. I can just say this, and my numbers go up, and it just grew out of that. I mean, it seems like it, right?
yes,
No?
no,
Okay.
absolutely. I think he's using his knowledge from all areas of business, all areas of negotiating from all these years, and I think it's all kind of coming together in this perfectly frightening combination that's may see him as the president and the man with his finger on the button.
What would be kind of really entertaining? It's just a one-on-one debate with him and Hillary, because I don't think he would be able to bite his tongue. I think we might see every kind of derogatory
Unless the
statement towards a
conspiracy
woman.
theory is true and that we've all been played and he's just coming in there to lay down for Hillary and bow
No way.
out or
There's
whatever.
No way.
I
There's
don't
no
think
way
Hillary's
that-
going to
that
win the
kind of
Democratic
people-
nomination.
Really?
Really?
Who is? You think Bernie's going to win?
Well, he's the only other one.
Well, there's Martin O'Malley.
Pretty much.
Oh, Martin O'Malley.
Well, tell
We'll
us
see.
how-
If
how
she
first-
loses in like New Hampshire and Iowa, the news frenzy that's gonna go on about him, it'll be just like Obama happened. Tables will turn. They're gonna love the story. And
She's polling highest in all these places, though, right?
she was last election like this too.
That's okay. That's fair. I mean,
The
you mean,
same-
or 8 years ago against Obama, right?
But when she ran against Obama, she was doing this well, and he was doing like as poorly as Bernie Sanders, and then it all got flipped.
And we do need to keep that one thing in mind, because while it looks like Rand is going nowhere, and I think that's probably true, and it looks like Trump is going to sail right in there, or maybe Cruz. I mean, crazy things do happen in election seasons, and often, actually, pretty much always, they don't. I mean, I would say 2012 was the most boring time, because actually that just happened like everyone thought it would happen. The boring front runner Mitt Romney came in, and the incumbent president Obama destroyed him. But crazy things happen in elections, and crazy things can happen here. I mean, Obama was the last crazy thing to happen, I guess. Like crazy as in it wasn't predicted at all.
Well, hey, there's this one college that they do this like mock election thing every time. And I know at least the last 2 or 3 elections they were right, and a bunch of others in the past. Not like every time,
That's like
but they went through it this year, and their winning ticket came up. It was Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley ticket won, and they're
isn't that like asking the chicken to fucking walk
Hey.
to the right candidate? Like,
they seem to be right more than chance.
it's like having your girlfriend fill out the Sweet 16 or whatever, the NCAA poll with based on the whatever mascot she likes best.
Yeah.
well,
But that doesn't mean they'll be wrong. And I think the other side of that was it was a Ted Cruz Rand Paul ticket, wasn't it? That's why you think Rand Paul is going to be the VP, because you believe that mock
Was
poll.
it?
Yeah, it was Ted Cruz Rand Paul.
I just thought that because of Brian's conspiracy theory about their
Oh,
alliance.
okay. Because really, it seems like the alliance is Trump and Cruz now.
I think it might be Trump and Cruz. I think that might be the ticket.
If it is, that just happened.
It even sounds good, Trump and Cruz. I don't know.
It does.
Rolls out, fits on a bumper sticker. I don't know. I could see it.
I don't see how the establishment thinks they can win. Like if you add up like Bush, Rubio, Kasich, all their numbers together, they still lose.
well,
Yeah,
Do you
I
agree
can't
with
believe they're not pushing, Jeb out to try to prop Rubio up or pushing
Jeb's was
Kasich
awful
out.
tonight. He was really bad.
He is looking more like Will Ferrell, as Odie pointed out.
Yeah.
If
I
Will
like
Ferrell ran as Jeb Bush instead, he might win.
I would vote for Will Ferrell as Jeb Bush.
Me too.
Sure. Would it say would
Larry
it say,
David is Bernie Sanders.
Would it say-
Yeah, that would-
in the ballot box? Would it say like Jeb Bush and then in parentheses Will Ferrell?
Yes.
as played by.
He would have to play Jeb Bush the whole time he was in office, though.
And that's the rule.
It
You
would
can
be
do
like,
this.
like Stephen Colbert's old character,
Yeah, this is unprecedented, and we'll allow it, but you must play Jeb Bush for 4 years, or 8 if reelected.
It's so obvious with Jeb Bush. Like they practice like this first 2 or 3 answers. Like he comes off much better. Like the first 15
Then he
minutes
just
of the
falls
debate,
apart altogether.
it's like the old scripted offense for an NFL team. Like, well, they scripted the first 10 plays, and then after that they suck. And it's Jeb Bush. He knows, he just gets out his talking points, and then he just stutters and stammers and goes down.
He doesn't have any game plan. He blows his load in the first quarter.
That's like how Ben Carson is from the beginning. He just never bothers rehearsing the first couple lines.
Can Ben Carson have an alarm clock on his podium next time?
Ben's campaign manager says, all right, Ben, first thing, moment of silence, and then from there, just go with it.
Did he make a single good point tonight?
No. He's never made a point. A point. He's never even made a point. How can he make a good point? Ben, next time you open your mouth, have a point. That's
I like
advice.
how he whined about the time. Like that was the first time they talked to him. He's like, "I just like to point out that you haven't given me much, speaking time." The Wolf should have been like, "We're helping you out, buddy. Every time we go to you, you look terrible."
I would be like, Ben, it's a 2-hour debate. We don't have time to let you answer more than 3 questions.
When will they start cutting the mics? That one when Cruz kept going, that looked bad on him.
That was pretty good.
That was real
Wolf
awkward.
was like, "Yeah, no, shut up. We're done with you."
That was pretty uncomfortable.
He's like, but I'm the debate king. Why isn't this working? Why isn't my?
Do you know I was the champion debater at Princeton?
I thought he went to Harvard.
See, that's what I thought. Then the guys, the We Are Libertarian guys, said it was Princeton, and then
what do they know?
I apologize for being wrong. So maybe I was right. And
he went to Harvard Law. I'm pretty sure he might have went to Princeton undergrad. That sounds right.
Terrible resume.
If only there was a way for us to find this information.
Well, it's in the Ted Cruz presidential profile, which I wrote, but I can't remember what actually.
Can we
wrote.
go back to the kitty debate for a minute, where they said
Yes.
like the lawyers were hampering the fight against ISIS?
Yeah, what's up with that, Rico? Come on, man.
I guess I'm not at that level where I can affect.
Were the lawyers
foreign
like, listen,
policy.
you guys can't torture some folks anymore. It's not allowed to do that.
Does anyone really think they're not torturing people? Like, they're doing whatever the fuck they want, aren't they? And they just...
I don't think so, no.
It was Princeton, by the way, where he was on the debate team. So I was wrong the first time, right the second time, and Howie was wrong this time.
You don't think torture is going on, whether it is like overseas and they say...
I don't think it's the policy. I think maybe a onesie or twosie here and there. But...
Onesie or twosie? Has anyone referred to torture in such a cutesy way before?
Or twosie.
Oh, just a onesie here. I'm going to break your little
What is
pinky
that?
here.
Oh,
boy.
Put them in a
Just a onesie or twosie.
Well, when we're whimsically talking about torture, it might be time to talk about winding things down. Why don't we do a really quick hit? Just one bold prediction. One bold prediction between now and the next debate. Odie, go.
Bold prediction. Ted Cruz takes the commanding lead in Iowa, and Trump panics and starts attacking Ted Cruz, but it does not hamper or dampen his support at all whatsoever. Other bold prediction, you said one, I'm making two, is
You can make
someone's
two.
going to drop it. Someone's going to drop out, and I'm just going to make something up now.
Someone? That's not bold at all.
I'm going to say that Rick Santorum will not drop out, but Pataki will drop out.
All right. Bye-bye, Pataki.
All the people that thought he already did.
Sorry, Pataki fans. One guy's like, wait, he's still in it? All right. All right, Howie, got a bold prediction for us?
Over the holidays, Trump's gonna do or say more crazy things, and his poll numbers are gonna go up higher, and the RNC is gonna freak out.
All right. I think that's what might already be happening, but yeah. Rico, what's your bold thoughts between now and the next debate, a month away?
The next debate will only have 6 people in it.
All right.
Three
Now that's a
three
solid.
people-
That's a solid prediction with some
3
numbers.
people will be
Teeth
either
behind it.
shuttled or otherwise removed from the main
And
stage.
you don't think they'll move anyone up from the kitty debate? They'll be cut. They'll be all cut out.
Really? Who are they going to move up?
You know what? I would love to see Lindsey Graham in this crew just because for
no.
entertainment value alone.
I just want to see Lindsey Graham sit in the audience and react to everyone
That would be good. Or if like the whole debate had a split screen of Lindsey Graham on the side.
shaking his head or his eyes bugging out or whatever it is.
If he was up on the balcony like those guys from the Muppets that would like always.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. I'm going to predict that in a panic maneuver because the establishment is freaking out. I think that a result of that is that Jeb Bush will drop out to focus on something like his family life or what have you, and he will back Marco Rubio. How about that?
Maybe to box Mitt Romney. Maybe Jeb in middle box.
Can I make my prediction a little bolder?
Sure.
Everything I said before, but Trump's numbers will go up and become equal to or greater than Clinton's.
So he'll have like 50, 60% in the polls.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably like 50, 51, 52.
Flipping over to the other side real quick. Does anybody think we're going to see a Sanders surge or an O'Malley surge or something with Clinton happen? Or is this just going to play out as boringly as it looks like it's going to play out?
I think Sanders probably has a better like ground game in New Hampshire and places like that. And we're going to think Hillary's going to trounce him and then voting will happen. And that's not going to happen. And he'll do I think he'll end up winning and people are like, what the hell? Then he'll start winning things left and right.
So you still think Bernie's going to win?
I don't think Hillary's actually healthy enough to be president. I mean, she can barely campaign. She can't. I mean, she's so like they don't even put her out there really to campaign. Every campaign stop, she's sitting down and it's these very casual talks. I don't know.
She's a mother, John. It's hard to stay in shape, you know. It's hard to get to the gym every day.
Grandmother
too. All right. All right, guys. Well, we could talk about more about that because Mr. Snowdon here is going to join me for a Democratic debate recap show this weekend. If you can believe that. There's a Democrat debate on Saturday, and on Monday, we're going to have another one of these shows. My God. We're going to sit through another debate, but it's at least there's less people in this one. That's kind of good, I think.
And there should only be one warmonger in this one.
Yeah, only 1 to 2, depending on O'Malley. I don't know. Yeah, he goes back and forth.
Well, instead of ISIS, it'll be gun control the whole time. So.
There you go.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, we're gonna really be annoyed. That is gonna happen. All right, boys. But until the next debate, and until about a month from now, when I imagine a similar crew will gather together to discuss the next GOP debate. A lot of crazy things can happen. We'll be talking about them. Until then, folks, why don't you guys join me? Why don't you guys all live long and live free?
By the way, Ted Cruz did go to Princeton and Harvard.
Yeah, he went to both.
Where did he debate, though?
Princeton was the debate team.
I don't think
He never debated at Harvard.
I don't do debate.
I can't say he never had a debate.
Maybe you should, though.
If you want to be one of those, boys.
All right, dudes, I'm over this.
You don't have to argue in court.
I don't do anything. I surf the internet in court.
God damn it! I should go to law school.
All right.
Does it take like 2 years? 3?
See you guys on the internet.
All right. See you
Peace
later.
out.
Head of editing and mastering is John Odermatt.
Contact Johnny53 at gmail.com.